Okay, moment of truth. I bought an extremely rare Flash Green Volvo S60R for $700 off of Facebook Marketplace. I knew I had a long road ahead of me, but one thing was certain. I was committed to getting this car back on the road, no matter the cost. And after draining my wallet and throwing enough new parts at the car, the Volvo gods finally decided I was a worthy mortal and the car showed its first signs of life. The car woke up from its slumber and was willing to drive under its own power for the first time, but of course, that wasn't without its own set of problems to solve. We had a misfire, which we eventually solved. I was on cloud 9 and riding it high. But disaster struck, and so here we are. Oh yes, the Volvo's engine bay and I meet again. At this point, we're very well acquainted, but you know what? I have no complaints. After the car broke down in the last video, I knew for a fact that timing had slipped and we were out of time, but I still felt the need to run a compression test and have the visual and numerical confirmation. After taking things apart in order to run what felt like the 60-second compression test I've run on this car, the figures were, well, pretty discouraging to say the least. But call it optimism or sheer delusion, I refuse to believe that this engine needed anything more than to have its timing revised. So, after doing just that and sparing you guys from having to watch it for the 12th time, the compression test results were extremely relieving to say the least, and I knew what I needed to know to keep going. But of course, the battery was dead. With a freshly charged battery in place, we were ready to give this another shot. The engine was back in time, it started back up again with no problem until it went out of time, again. I was very confused at this point. I was certain that I had tightened everything down and there was no logical reason for this to keep happening. My assumption at this time was that I needed a new belt tensioner. I mean, what else could it be, right? Alright, new belt tensioner in place, engine retimed. For the I've lost count, I'm done counting. Everything should be set, right? I don't know about you, but I don't think that's supposed to happen. But sure enough, the crank pulley nut came off all on its own, and I think now we finally know why the engine keeps going out of time. And that I can work with. Okay, moment of truth. All right, I mean, this is gonna be the first drive with you guys. I wanna get this out of the way because chances are this thing is gonna break down again. You know, the 2 videos I've done so far have done really well, so I think I owe you guys to see this car running and to get my first impressions. Just gonna go for a loop around the neighborhood, honestly, and just see how she does. Oh, wait. Okay, so I am trying something new where I have a microphone up here to talk to you guys, and I also have one actually taped to the rear bumper to hopefully get some exhaust sound. Granted, stock exhaust system, but that won't be the case forever. After all the support and traction the first 2 videos I've gotten, and honestly I've been having so much fun doing this and making videos for you guys that I owe you to at least give you a first impression of the car driving, which is what I was trying to do in the last video when the car broke down. So I know to many people watching, I seem like I don't know what I'm doing, and you know what? You'd be right. You'd be correct. I don't. I am really trying to learn as I go, and honestly I can say that I have. I mean, the amount of knowledge I've gained just working on this car alone and getting it running is priceless. I appreciate the support. You know, I appreciate everyone in the comments being so supportive of what I'm trying to do. I'd be lying if I said this channel didn't mean a lot to me, and I really enjoy doing it. So this car, 226,000 miles on the odometer. The issue that we ran into in the last video where the car broke down, what happened was the timing belt skipped a few teeth, and so it went out of time again, thus losing compression entirely. So we were right back to where we started when I first got the car, which was no compression, out of time. But this time I knew what the problem was, so I could just tackle it directly. After that, I was convinced that I had, you know, I had hit valves, as this is it's an interference engine, meaning that the valves and the pistons occupy the same space, just obviously at different times, ideally. And if the engine goes out of time enough, then, hey, they kiss each other and goodbye goes the engine. But I don't know how, I somehow keep getting lucky and the engine is fine, compression is healthy, and I've yet to make any contact with any valves, as far as I know. And when it skipped teeth and went out of time in this last video, I was convinced that it was a tensioner issue. I understand, I know that there's a common through line in my videos where I just throw parts of the car and I don't properly diagnose it. I really thought it was a tensioner. I was like, what else could it be? I mean, if the belt is slipping and the engine is going out of time, you know, what else could it be? The belt looked fine. Granted, I did get a new belt as well. After I installed those and I retimed the engine, as soon as I went to crank, you know, the torque from the first combustion cycles was enough to throw it off again. So I didn't know what to do by then. I was like, and if it's not a tensioner, then what else could it be, right? And I was convinced the engine was gone. I was like, okay, I've just kissed valves, goodbye. There goes the whole series. And as I go to investigate and look around the engine bay, I noticed there was just a massive nut right there on the ground, and sure enough, it's the nut that goes on the crank accessory pulley. That alone is alarming, but once again, I'm still learning as I go, and there's a lot of things in nuanced aspects of engines that I don't understand, but I figured there's no way that's the cause, right? I mean, why would that possibly be the cause? But sure enough, after doing some reading, that nut that holds that accessory pulley onto the crank pulley is what's responsible for the clamping force that keeps everything together. So after having torqued it down, here we are driving, which is very relieving, because after the way the last video ended, I was convinced that, you know, this car was done for. But truth be told, I'm just glad that I'm back in this car and it's driving, and hopefully it stays that way.